Cyber attacks are coming from every direction: endpoint, cloud, identity, network, and partners are expected to stop them all. That's why MDR has become essential. Today, we're looking at how WatchGuard is helping partners strengthen security and grow their services with an expanded MDR service. Here to walk us through it is Adam Winston from WatchGuard. Hi, Adam.
Hi.
Let's start with the big picture. MDR is gaining serious traction and demand on the channel continues to grow. Adam, what are some of the biggest security challenges you're seeing right now?
Well, the threat landscape isn't just evolving, it's industrializing. We're in the fourth wave industrial revolution. We've been pretty much in that state since 2010. And AI is being weaponized, attacks are becoming more automated, and the stakes are no longer just about your data. They're affecting things like currency, where we see attacks on things like Bitcoin, influence, and truth itself. What used to be cybercrime is now a $10 trillion black market, effectively the world's third largest economy. And the answer really isn't more tools, it's fewer, right? We need more consolidation, more control. We need a platform that sees everything, talks to everything, adapts in real time. And because this is the new economy, security isn't just IT, it's survival.
What's shifting in the threat landscape that's making MDR feel more urgent now for partners?
Well, the game has changed, right? Threats aren't just more frequent, they're faster, smarter, harder to see. AI is leveling the field to, make almost anybody a pretty complex adversary. And that means that, with the automation, breaches are unfolding now in minutes and not days. At the same time, the security teams that are starting to, look for those attacks are buried in noise, right? That's why MDR isn't just a nice to have. It's a new way of augmenting and leveling that playing field. It's eyes on glass, it's 24/7. It's real people separating the signal from the noise, so cutting through a lot of that clutter and getting to threats before the damage is done, right? And in a world that's moving this fast, partners need more than just tools. They need some force multiplier that's going to actually stop the adversary in minutes and not just give them another product to look at.
There are plenty of MDR vendors out there. What makes WatchGuard's approach stand out from a partner perspective?
So plenty of companies will call themselves managed detection and response companies or offer a service like that. But it's important to understand that while there might be hundreds of these vendors claiming to do this, it's important to understand what differentiates the true platform approaches. And with WatchGuard, we've been sort of building on this platform approach for 30 years, right? Starting with the firewall, where we brought together, threat prevention, app control, URL filtering, and networking. Today, we offer sort of the same philosophy powering MDR, right? We're offering, endpoint, identity, cloud, and networking tied together, not just tacked on. And it's not just MDR, it's MDR with sort of deep roots in that platform. With that type of reach and real integration, that means that it's less complex, right? There's more protection, and it's just a better business model for partners in general.
Not every partner has the resources to build or run a full security operations center. How does WatchGuard MDR help level the playing field?
We're not asking people to build a security operations center. We're asking them to stop trying. Too many are burning resources, chasing 24/7 coverage, digging through noise, and falling behind on the basics like patching and configuration and hygiene. So WatchGuard MDR levels the playing field by pulling partners out of that critical path and putting our global team on the front lines. We stop threats before they become breaches, and we do it without asking the partners or staff to join the war room, right? That lets us handle the alarms so they can focus on defenses that matter, right? They can then focus on the adversary in terms of being able to stop, configuration gaps and patches and things that are just sort of falling behind for their customers.
Let's talk about what's next. WatchGuard is rolling out Total MDR, an expanded approach to threat detection and response. It goes beyond endpoint protection to include identity, network, and cloud, giving partners more coverage where today's threats are hitting hardest. Adam, why is this shift so important right now? And what kinds of threats are driving the need to go beyond just endpoint protection?
We learned the hard way since 2017 that the endpoint alone wasn't enough. 0 days, ransomware, were slipping through, and worse, they funded the adversary with those payouts to build the ecosystem we're sort of battling today. Now the threats are even sharper. AI-powered exploits, reconnaissance at machine speed, deepfake-driven social engineering that looks like and sounds like the real thing. And it's not just email, it's every collaboration channel, identity, every cloud app, and it's a full court press, right? The only way to defend is with a unified visibility across the entire environment, right? That's the network, that's endpoint, that's cloud identity, and it's all working as one. And with WatchGuard MDR, we deliver that kind of cohesion with experts behind the wheel, because today, basically, you just can't have the liability of missing one of those surfaces.
With total MDR covering multiple attack surfaces, how does that change what partners can offer their customers?
Total MDR gives partners something they never really truly had before, which is sort of a full spectrum, platform driven defense of identity, endpoint, network, and cloud, all unified, all managed, but all within reach. It's not just about the coverage, it's clarity, right? Simplifying the deployment, competitive pricing, real experts on call or a message away without having to deal with hold music or these sort of anonymized emails, right? We know that our customers are going to get hit and they're going to have questions. No one gets hit by ransomware and doesn't want to ask any questions about it. And so, when you want real people on the other end of that phone or email to explain to you what's going on in the process, you need that, not just the team being able to stop it.
Identity is often a major target. How does integrating identity protection strengthen the MDR strategy overall?
It may sound like it's only one part. People typically associate identity with just usernames and passwords or multi-factor authentication. And the truth is, identity is the new perimeter for the way we do business. It's a single point of control for everything outside the firewall. Think SaaS apps like Dropbox, Slack, SAP, and others, right? The customers often move off premise to use these tools and they lose the traditional controls that they used to have, like segmentation or directory control. And that's where modern identity protection needs to step in, right? It's not just a login layer, but it's a signal of compromise for those apps, right? And so without that line of defense to trigger a response, you're not able to protect that vulnerable software supply chain that we keep seeing time and time again be responsible for breaches.
And let's talk about cloud. How does Total MDR help partners protect apps like Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace without creating more complexity?
When people say cloud, they almost always mean Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace, or at least include them in that concept. It's core to how businesses collaborate and it connects to your critical data. That's why protecting those environments isn't optional. In the MDR, it's foundational. And every SKU that we offer, from Total to our original core SKU, includes 365 and Google Workspace built in. It's not bolted on. It's a one-click setup, native integration. It immediately detects things like account compromises, data exfiltration, malicious activity, without any extra tools or products that are very cloud focused, right? And it's important because that's where customers work, share, and store all of their intellectual property. So it's important to make sure that that's included by default.
We've covered protection. Now let's talk about opportunity. For partners, MDR is also a way to grow business and build stronger customer relationships. How are you seeing partners turn MDR into a revenue stream or use it to enhance existing service offerings?
I mean, partners are, great consultants, technicians. They're offering their customers great value by, delivering complex cybersecurity projects, integrating those tools. But, there are two things that you have to try to build when you build out a SOC. And the two biggest issues you're going to face are things like hosting and hiring, right? And so without taking those on, you're going to have a challenge in delivering this additional revenue service. But with WatchGuard, it's pretty simple. If you're already running our EDR, you just add a license and then you immediately get that hosting you're already paying for in WatchGuard Cloud and to get 24/7 detection and response. So the customers who are going to need that protection year round, that 24/7 protection, are going to add annualized recurring revenue to those partners' income streams. And that's just going to strengthen their business, whether it's based on the great margins that our partners see by deploying the service and the predictability of saying, year over year, people are going to continue to use this very valuable service.
One big thing we hear from the channel is trust. How does MDR help reinforce the partner's role as a strategic advisor?
In cybersecurity, there are two ways to solve the problem. You can detect the threat or you can mitigate it. You can block it from happening in the first place. And partners can earn their customers' trust that we're doing the detection and response by delivering the transparency we offer through our portals so they can see when we find and stop threats exactly how we found and handled it, right? And we're counting on them, frankly, to do the other half, right? To do the proactive part, to mitigate threats that puts them basically in the driver's seat as a strategic advisor. We also offer technical account managers that we can help integrate with them so that they're not only offering advice that they find suitable, but advising them about the gaps that we see in the SOC for their customers so they can be well armed to discuss the topics very succinctly, right? At the end of the day, we need these things to happen. And the more trust customers have in the partner, the more that they're likely to follow through on those configurations and security changes. And that's just good for everybody. We're going to either win or lose together if they're not happening.
For partners who are ready to go to market, what kind of sales or marketing support is WatchGuard offering to help them succeed?
Well, partner, they're not the only ones that are ready. So are we, right? WatchGuard MDR is a mature, sort of battle-tested service that's been around for years. We're protecting hundreds of thousands of devices with proven outcomes across many industries. So for the go-to-market support, we're bringing a full ecosystem of training, messaging, sales collateral, SE, account support, as well as the kind of enablement that gets partners closing deals fast with direct access to, SE team members that are used to dealing with the objections and the different kinds of customizations that, customers want to find when they look at evaluating these things. And so we not only offer things like free trials and proof of concepts because we really do believe in the service. And when customers see the product or service in action, they tend to have a lot more faith that it's going to do what we say it does.
And looking ahead, what is next for MDR at WatchGuard, and how are you continuing to evolve to support your partners?
We are going to be on the road talking about Total and making sure our partners see the value that they're going to get from that 24/7 detection and response across the WatchGuard stack. That means integrating almost every product we have, from AuthPoint to the WatchGuard EDR, Firebox, and eventually FireCloud. So we're going to continue to make sure that we evolve that platform to defeat the adversary despite their new AI-enabled techniques. And then we're going to focus on trying to integrate some new third-party product in the fall and winter to try to see what else we can do to integrate the stack and make it better.
From reducing risk to creating new revenue, MDR is helping partners meet the moment. Adam, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
WatchGuard's Total MDR is designed to make that easier, giving partners a smarter, more scalable way to protect their customers. For more information, visit the website on your screen. For the Channel Company, I'm Sydney Neely.